Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Recruit Military Live, a continuing series of live broadcasts covering all things military transition, veteran employment, mil-spouse employment, and much more. My name is Lucas Connolly, retired U.S. Army officer and former TAP program manager, here to share with you the ins and outs of navigating the waters of civilian employment. If you're in search of meaningful employment, then you're in the right place. Please visit rmvets.com/live to learn more. So let's roll right in. Are you transitioning out of the military? Are you getting ready to start your first civilian job since high school? Wondering whether or not you're going to fit in? Well, if you answered yes, then don't touch that mouse. You're in the right place. Today's topic is how to civilian, tips for workplace success. Our first guest served in the U.S. Army as a military intelligence officer for more than 3 decades. She has commanded at the company, battalion, and brigade levels. She's been a J2 and a C2 in Iraq, served as a commander of U.S. intelligence and national security command, as well as serving as the G2 in the headquarters department of the Army. Following retirement in 2016, she's gone on to a civilian career with Accenture Federal Services, where she currently works to bring Accenture's global secure digital mission analytics and agile development capabilities to U.S. national defense, intelligence, and cyber clients. Try saying that 3 times fast. She supports strategic IT planning for federal intelligence and defense organizations with an emphasis on open source intelligence, mission analytics, and agile development and digital supply chain strategy. I should also point out that she received both her bachelor's degree and her honorary doctorate from my alma mater, the University of New Hampshire. Go Wildcats. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant General retired Mary Legere.
Well, good afternoon and go Wildcats. And it's just great for 2 reasons. We have Army people with jobs and Wildcat people with jobs. So that'll make all the parents happy. It's delightful to be here. Looking forward to answering questions. And thanks for the introduction.
Yeah, it wasn't until I read your bio that I saw that you were a UNH grad. I was down in Congreve Hall, splitting my time between making trouble and making mediocre grades.
Well, it just shows you can go on to be successful. You don't have to be defined about how focused you were where you were in college. So, yeah, great university and landed me in a great ROTC program, which led me to the next 3 decades and set conditions for my arrival here at Accenture. So looking forward to talking to you about that and
absolutely
our service members as they find their way forward, as well as their spouses.
Well, Mary and I could reminisce about the good old days down at Zace Hall, but we do have another guest joining us today on the show. She's been in the recruiting business for more than a decade, primarily focused on the field of information security. She currently runs recruiting for the Accenture Federal Services National Security Portfolio. She's a proud mom of a paratrooper out of the 82nd Airborne Division, so she is intimately acquainted with the challenges of military service. She also volunteers in the transition offices and providing speaking engagements at conferences to transitioning service members, resume reviews, interview tips, and training. She really goes out of her way to support. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Kirsten Renner.
Hi, thank you. I'm so honored to be here.
Kirsten, we're glad you could make it. I think today's going to be a great show. So all of you out there watching, don't touch that mouse. Now, you've heard who we are. We'd like to hear who you are. Where are you watching from? Who are you with? Are you an active duty service member? Retired? What branch of the service are you in? Do you have questions, comments, issues, or concerns? Jump into that chat box. Let's hear what you have to say. And if you've got questions, we'll try to jump all over them. All right, folks, let's get wheels up. So I love the title. I can't take credit for having written the title today as How to Civilian. Civilian, I guess now, is a verb as well. We're adulting, and now we're civilianing. All right. General Legere, as you had a long and successful career in the military spanning over 3 decades. Can you tell us just a little bit of background of your decision to retire and about your personal experience transitioning to your civilian career?
Yeah, thanks, Lucas. So for me, I made my transition decision from UNH and actually my penultimate job of being a lifeguard into the Army at 18 years old. So I had a clear idea that I wanted to land someplace in the intelligence community, reached out and got involved in ROTC, realized this would be a path, and then really didn't have to make another employment decision for 30 plus years. And I was married to a person I met at UNH, another officer or another cadet in ROTC. So Paul and I both went through transitioning as long-term soldiers into the civilian world at about the same time. He preceded me by 4 years. He had an idea as an engineer, what he wanted to do. I got a chance to watch and learn so that when it was my turn to transition, I would be in a good position to start. So partly, I guess I would say to the audience, when you're in as long as I am, the military is asking you to go. You sort of reach that, you reach the end, you reach 30 years. For him, he was a great colonel in engineers, was like, hey, thank you for your service, but we'd like to bring some young people in. And in my case, I was in my last job, and my bosses said, we'd love to keep you around, but you gotta go. So I stayed with the military as long as I was doing work that I enjoyed. And for my husband and I, it was a great lifetime, but we went in with the same anxiety that potentially the people that are joining us today are feeling. Like, we hadn't had to look for work in a long time. As you know, the military manages, with your help, manages your career, your development. And so this was, it was a period of anxiety for both of us in terms of how are we going to decide what is it that we want to do. And so made the decision, really, the military kind of made it for me. It was the end. And I was beginning to think about, probably in the last few months, I didn't have a lot of time in the job that I was in to spend much time looking forward. Certainly you would hope that the G2 of the Army would keep her head down on that job, but watched what he did, got a few tips from him in terms of how to take advantage of making sure I did hit the transition assistance conferences and planning that is offered to us. Obviously, at my age and rank, they didn't offer SkillBridge, but boy, if that had been available to me, if I had gotten out sooner, I would have said head to SkillBridge, because it gives you an opportunity to explore. And I did pay attention to the transition, training that I was offered and advice that I was given. I started to reach out to people who had jobs that I thought I might be interested in, but didn't know anything about. And I just started having conversations. And I'm going to admit it, both my husband and I went through this process. We're pretty senior people. We were a little anxious about, will people answer? Will they answer the email? Will they answer the phone call? And every single person we reached out to who didn't know us well, but wanted to learn a little, my husband wanted to explore being a facilities engineer at a university because he had done it in the military. He reached out to facilities engineers and they met with us. We took advantage of our military network. We met with people to help us understand these are the kinds of opportunities that are out there. So that's the process. I would just admit, even as a 3-star and as a colonel, had anxiety about this move, wondered if my skills would transfer, went through that period of kind of, okay, where are we going to land? But got a lot of help from a lot of veterans and a lot of people that are just willing to take us on and bring us in with everything that we have to offer.
Mary, a lot of great advice wrapped up in there into one response. I'm hearing use your TAP program. I'm hearing if you've got DoD SkillBridge opportunities, reach out for them. I'm hearing the value of networking. I'm hearing that being a 3-star general didn't change the fact that this transition experience causes some anxiety.
Yeah, let's think about it. We all stood on a line with our oak tag folder, getting off a bus, heading into basic training, being screamed at by drill sergeants. We all have that common experience. And then once we get into the military, we are managed, and in some cases, we are managing people's careers, and we're helping them make those next steps and decisions. And what I found when I got ready to get out was, first, the transition assistant programs are the best place for you to be around others that are going through this process. They are tied in with people like Kirsten that are just ready to receive you. People like me that when I left, I wanted to be involved with, leave no service member behind. If you need a job and I can help you make a connection, I'm on LinkedIn. You send me a note. Tell me where you're at. I'll connect you to somebody. And that is the way the military spouses should view all of us that have gone before you. We are here to help. And I think once I got into the transition assistant programs, I got a chance to talk to service members that were considering SkillBridge and their GI Bill. They needed to get to work quickly. They have families to support. How could they manage that? And it just became really clear to me that this was going to be a successful transition. And I was really committed that once I got here, to make it make myself available, make other people available to just get the anxiety out and let's get on with the work of getting you the place that you want to go work next, and bring your leadership, your teamwork, your energy, your passion, whatever it is you want to do. There are people that are going to help you get there.
Awesome. Now, Kirsten, let's go to you. As a recruiter, you no doubt see countless resumes and interview, I can't imagine how many folks. What, in your opinion, helps our transitioning military professionals to be successful? And conversely, where have you seen them struggle?
So first, I would say with my name and email address on the DoD website as the point of contact for AFS, I get a lot of resumes. I get a lot of interest every single day. And the first thing I want to say, if you only heard me ever say one thing, remember that you're qualified. You're qualified. It's the first thing they all ask me, all levels, no matter what rank they're at, the first thing they want to know is, am I qualified to participate and to be considered? Yes. Your willingness and your desire qualify you. And then the journey becomes finding that spot for you and walking you through that journey. I definitely don't consider anything that anyone considering finding a new job. I don't consider anything at any level where you are when you begin that journey to be a thing that you didn't do correctly. If anything, it's us on the hiring side that needs to constantly be reviewing the way we're doing things for you, providing the service for you. My dog decided now is the perfect time to let you know that he exists. So there you go.
I'm a doggy daddy myself.
There you go.
I can appreciate it.
I do want to tell you a very quick story.
Go ahead.
It was 2016 or 17. I was serving on a panel for the Veterans Initiative Summit hosted by portfolio companies at the Chamber of Commerce. And my purpose there was to help people of all levels. I mean, I remember being very intimidated, by the way. I'm on the stage. I'm not a veteran. I felt a little out of place, but they all were looking to me to help them. And I felt so honored and so challenged and a tiny bit terrified. I looked into the crowd of people and all branches, and they were all dressed up. They had all their bling and decorations on. And I thought, wow, like, you're asking me for help. Like, you're so amazing. And then to get their attention, I said, did you all bring your resumes? And they were like, yeah, and papers were crinkling. And I said, put them away, they suck. And it was perfect because they were all like, whoa, right? And then I was like, man, I took a big risk. I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick 3 random volunteers, and I'm going to ask each of you to tell me about a leadership experience that you had or an accomplishment that you achieved in your military career. And then I'm going to prove that you failed to articulate it on your resume, and then we'll figure out how to reverse engineer that and make sure that never happens again.
Right.
And they were all like, what? And but it turned out I was very lucky. It turned out to be true. Whether you're tactical or you're strategic or the problem that you were solving, you're speaking it in the language that you know from the years that you served, that need to be translated for people like me that don't know what those words mean. To me at the time, I didn't know the difference between, for example, strategic and tactical. It's the same thing, right? No. And so we have to teach each other, and we have to learn how to translate those things. So it became the very most important thing that you can do, military or not, everybody, make an I am statement. Do not assume that the person looking at your resume is qualified to know what you have done or what you would like to do, and be willing to customize that I am statement every time. I am let's go with technical leader. I am a team lead, and I am looking to go into physical security in the private sector. I am looking to become a program manager. So you've taken all the assumptions away, and you've helped the people like me who are trying to clear a path for you head you in the right direction and make it smoother. Sorry, that was a long answer.
No, that was a great answer. And so what I'm hearing now is make sure you're articulating your successes effectively on your resume and in English. not in military. And actually, I could tell a quick story. I think General Legere can appreciate this as an intelligence officer. I had a young intelligence lieutenant who brought me his resume when I was in the TAP program, and it was just littered top to bottom with Army speak. And as an artillery guy, even I didn't understand half of it, because we just pull the rope, make the thing go boom, and call it a day. So I asked him to revise it. He brought it back to me, and again, and it maybe had a 4% change. So I grabbed a big fat magic marker and I redacted it. Every military term, every abbreviation, every military speak, and I handed it back to him, and it looked like it had just been released by Congress. There wasn't about 40 words on the whole document that you could read. And I said, here you go. Everything not blacked out is in English, but everything that's blacked out is what the people reading your resume are not going to understand. Are you getting a visual here? And he's like, oh, wow, I get it now. So yeah, you've got to translate. You've got to translate. I hear you talking about some people call it the 60-second sell. Some people call it the 30-second elevator pitch. Being able to articulate who you are, what you want, what value you bring to the organization in a very short answer. Am I hearing you right?
That's correct. Yes.
And Lucas, I think it's important to know that you're probably going to write your resume a couple different ways depending on the kind of job. As you evolve and think about, I want a job in education or teaching. I would like to have a job in tech, but I'm not sure I can do that. If you work with coaches like Kirsten, you reach out to people like me, we're going to help you understand that your resume, your life experience is going to be X, but depending on the path you want to take, we're going to help you understand how to create that narrative that says, I was a service member. I train people on difficult things. We do exciting things that are very difficult, and we have to train our subordinates to do it. So just understand that your resume may take a couple different forms, but if you start with a basic one and definitely, understand that you've got and they've heard it at the transition assistance, and they think, like I remember doing my first draft and then submitting it to friends of mine and having them come back and say, hey, you want to tone this down a little bit, or this is a little bit too difficult to understand. In other positions that you're seeking, your military background may be exactly what they're seeking. So you'll have a resume that's reads a lot like a bunch of acronyms. I will say that when you get on this side, it's very funny to be in a business meeting with a lot of people from industry and listen to them complain about our acronyms till you go to a financial meeting with them, and literally there are no nouns or pronouns that you would recognize. So I just think, get a basic understanding of the life that you've had, figure out and the skills that you've learned over time. Figure out kind of that short list of, if I were doing my dream job or this next chapter of my life, here's where I think I'd like to go. We're going to then look at that resume to help you understand how to tell that story, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the first time I heard EBITDA, I was like, what's an EBITDA? What's an EBITDA? Somebody want to throw me? Oh, it's your bonus is based on the EBITDA. I'm like, I don't know.
It's just money.
It's an EBITDA. I don't know what an EBITDA is. I still don't know don't know what a comptroller is. I have no idea what a comptroller does.
They count the money.
Yeah.
If they ask you, what do you think your salary would be? And you're like, you mean I have a choice? There's a whole, this is why surround yourself with people that have gone through their process, because there are no dumb questions. Literally, I can't tell you, I picked about 4 or 5 people who I'm indebted to that shepherded me through this process of narrowing what my interests were and looking at the companies that potentially I would be the right fit with, and figuring out how to communicate to the executive hiring and the recruiters so they have what they needed, and then going through this process of down select with them. And every step along the way, if I was getting into something that I felt uncomfortable, I was about to jump into a pool and I didn't know how to swim or have the conversation, I would reach out to somebody who had already landed on the shore to say, okay, Mary, here's how you want to handle this. And no, it is not okay for you to say you'll work for nothing. As one of them said to me, that's not really good for the service member brand, because we all say, if we were interested in working, and in high compensation, we would have not been in the military for 30 years. We just love the work, the lifestyle, the mission, the people. And when they ask you what your compensation should be, and you're just like, I have no clue. They're like, yeah, you really got to have an answer. So let's
don't tell
coach
them
you
what
to
you
that one.
make. They
Right.
can't ask. Okay, it's none of their
Right.
damn business. And then talk about other things. You can't. Doesn't hurt to ask. It's not literally just about your salary, right?
Yeah.
Are there shares? Is there PTO?
Total
You know,
comp.
think about all the things when you're negotiating. Sorry, I got really excited.
No.
When you're negotiating, think about every aspect. Like the military gave you a lot that you're not going to necessarily get, right? All of a sudden you're going to have to pay premiums for your insurance. That's huge, bro. Ask them how much it is, because your paycheck is going to be affected by those types of things that you didn't typically have to do, right, in your military career. Wherever you're potentially relocating to, are they going to help you get there? It doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah,
All the people that pay the bills are like, stop saying that, but it's true.
Yeah, transitioning service members need to understand that your compensation is no longer the intersection of your rank and your years of service on a chart somewhere. Your total compensation, I mean, there are senior leaders in large Fortune 500 companies who get paid $1 million but have $2.5 million worth of stock options, or they get paid 500 but they have $1.5 million in stock options, which of course when you flip that at 12.5% capital gains is nothing compared to 34% income on their tax bracket. So you've got to do this math. You've got to look at, are they matching 401k dollar per, or are they going 50% on 6%? Are they, what are your healthcare premiums? That premium gold healthcare package could be $1,200 a month for your family. That's gigantic. But hey, I want to tap on something, and I want to talk for a minute about culture and assimilation. 2 lessons I learned. One was taught to me by a recruiter who called me up and asked me after an interview, "Did you curse during your interview?" And I was like, "Did I curse during my interview? I'm not sure." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did, because they told me that you cursed during me when I interviewed. They said, you cursed? You cursed?" I'm like, "I don't remember cursing." They're like, "Yeah, they said you dropped like 4 F-bombs in the middle of the interview." I don't remember that. They're like, "Yeah, so don't curse during an interview." So I learned that one. I don't think I got that job. And the other one was nobody wants to see a spit cup on your desk at the office. I guess that's a no-no in the civilian world. I had to learn a couple of hard lessons moving into civilian culture. So let's start with Mary. Any cultural shifts for you?
Well, I think all of those are important. And hopefully in the military, as we've exposed you to different cultures, you're always thinking about how you're going to be received when you move into a different environment. So I do think putting your best foot forward, being authentic, but also understanding, yes, you're aspiring to a professional job in a professional work organization. In a company like Accenture, I remember, doing a lot of homework and meeting a lot of people, and I thought, I've got to present myself in a way that they're comfortable, that I'm going to be a good teammate, that I'm open to learning, that I know I'm going to be starting at the bottom in a way. I'm going to bring 34 years of experience in national security, but I need to be open with them to say, first and foremost, I will give you everything. Will you invest in me? And I think that's one of the key things you want to find out in your interview. I wanted to come to a company that recognized I might be a little older, but I still have a lot of energy. And I want to be put through a learning environment every single day, where, just like in the military, I learned something new every day. I had a different level of responsibility every year. They were invested in me over time. And I wanted to present myself. I wanted to ask those questions, but I also wanted to definitely let them know, out of humility, I'm going to be starting with you to give you 1,000%. I think I have skills that you can leverage. I'd like to hear us talk about that, and I'd like to offer some ideas, but please give me back what you think about that. And then ask some critical questions like, how do you value your employees? Like, can I get a sense from, in part of the great parts of interviews today is you definitely talk to the team you might join. And that's where you can have conversations like, hey, what brought you to this company? Like, I asked as many questions in the interview to say, is this the right fit for me? Am I the right fit for you? And it wasn't threatening, because I didn't go in with any expectation that there was a right or wrong answer. But yeah, I would say it's like meeting your spouse's parents. Like, it's like meeting your, the commander you're going to go work for. Let's start off if they're going to trust you to be an ambassador for their company, in any position that you're in, that you're going to represent the very best of what their company means, their company's values. Let's start reflecting that behavior, that golf swing from the very first moment. And we've all heard that before. You know, as military people, I remember the conversations with my young company commander types who were like, I want to be a company commander. And I'm like, well, from the minute you arrive in the unit, I want you to behave like a leader. Because I don't want you to grow into that job just because I give it to you. If you're going to be a knucklehead for a year, I'm probably not thinking, company commanders, first things that come. So be who you want. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity to reflect on the person and the leader you want to be and bring that person to the interview. And I think that gives them a sense of who you are. But be yourself. But yes, let's watch the F-bombs. Let's watch, the spit cups, but you'll figure it out. We have had most of this generation in the military, many of our military spouses, you have been dealing with so much diversity, so many different cultures, so many different challenges. You know how to behave. And again, if there's a veterans group that is associated with that company, they are absolutely there for you to reach out to if you have anxiety about your interviews. So in Accenture, huge SkillBridge program, huge military employee resource group full of veterans that are here to say, if you're interviewing with us and you want to have us help you understand why we joined this unbelievable company and why we'll probably stay here till they bury us, then reach out to us so we can help you understand, one, is it the right fit for you? But two, help you get ready for your interviews.
Oh, fantastic. I heard a lot of great stuff in there. Ask questions during the interview, gauge the company. Ask the questions about the environment, about the culture of the organization, and be humble coming in, because whether you've got 10 years of experience or 30 years of experience, tabs and patches up and down your uniform, you're still the new guy or gal coming into the organization, and you've got some stuff to prove. Kirsten, cultural shifts. What do you talk to your candidates about? What have you seen? I'm sure you've got to have a horror story in there somewhere for us.
Okay. So I feel like I just feel like I need to confess to the group that I did drop the F-bomb in my last job interview. I did get the job, which led to me working here, technically via an acquisition. So not that that's my advice to you, but it does tie into, in all sincereness, my hair was also blue, but anyway, be yourself, be your authentic self, right? And I've said this before, but I do liken it to dating, although I don't have any dating experience. I suspect that if you showed up to your date and behaved like someone else, it'll be a short time in that experience with that individual that yourself will be revealed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if saying F-bomb every 5 seconds is something that's really important to who you are, you might as well get it out in the interview so you know if you're going to survive there, right? I mean, let's be real. Yes, you want to be your best self. Yes, you want to dress for the job that you intend to have and the person that you intend to become in your new role. But don't pretend, right? If you had to take out all your nose rings and be a completely different person in the interview and then you show up, you don't know. You're doing yourself a disservice if you're pretending to be someone who you aren't. So it's better to find out at that interview stage that you do or do not fit in. And I say the exact same thing when I'm coaching people who are conducting interviews. When I provide coaching to them on how to be their best selves to sell the company, I tell them to be themselves. I say, unless you're a jerk, and if you are, you shouldn't be interviewing, then you should totally be who you are so they know who they're going to be working with when they get here, right? So the authenticity thing that Mary mentioned is 100% very important, I think, at the interview stage.
Yeah, there's a saying that we have in Accenture, we want you to bring your best self to work. And if you're having to put on a mask and this really speaks to a diversity and a commitment to diversity and inclusion of however old you are, whatever gender, whatever your beliefs are, if you're coming in to be part of a team whose focus is looking after the clients that we are privileged to look after and bringing the kind of things that we bring to our clients, we do want you to bring your best self. We want you to be who you are. Now, if you're a sociopath or a murderer, you're probably not going to get through the interview. It's just
there's that.
We may not be the right fit.
That's the proper vetting.
But again, the one great thing for our military members who are out there and our spouses who are out there, you have options. This is a competitive job market, and you should really be thinking about how do you see yourself and what's the right company. And I think, Kirsten, you make a good point. If you're contorting yourself, it probably isn't going to feel good. Now, the other thing I want to say before we close is I can't tell, Kirsten and I have both had, you started where I would like to end. Can't tell you how many military people have said, I'm really interested in Accenture. It sounds like this incredible, exciting company, which, just builds skill and gets me into the information age and whatever it is. But I don't think I have the skill sets. And I'm looking at a resume of an NCO that has been on a nuclear sub, who has learned to exist in this environment, or been an airman on a flight line, or special operations team lead, or an artilleryman, who's been sent into countries to figure out that environment and help his team survive. There is nothing you can't do. There is nothing you can't learn if you're willing to do it. Now, you shouldn't go down a path where you take courses like you take in college based on a degree that you think you should have. You should really step back and figure out what's going to bring joy to your life. If working with kids, being an educator, learning about technology, staying in the intel business, working with soldiers, whatever it is, figure that out through this period of exploration. Get into SkillBridge, bet on yourself. Think carefully of how you use your GI Bill. You and I both went to UNH, and we took the courses that were available to us that got us off in the afternoon so we could go to hockey games. Okay, we're older now. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging. But as I look at using my GI Bill, I'm going to be using it about skills that I think I really want to have before I die. So in case I get to heaven, I'm going to be able to really help up there. So I just would say, don't count yourself out. Let's start where Kristen began, which is you are qualified, you are good enough. And through this period of exploration and reaching out to people like us who are dying to help you, we can put you in the right direction of talking to somebody that's in a career field that you might be interested in exploring. And no one is going to turn down energy, leadership, confidence, commitment, teaming. They're not going to turn that down. So I leave you with that. And if we would love to see your resumes at Accenture, if you're out there and you're interested in talking about SkillBridge and learning new things, Kirsten and I are here for a reason together. Is that we hope if you're out there and you're around the country or you're around the world, you want to learn more, we're here for you.
Hire talent, train for success. I love it. Kirsten, I'm going to let you close this out. You got 30 seconds to give a piece of advice to a transitioning service member who's looking for successful employment when they hang up their uniform. In 30 seconds or less, what do you tell them?
Applying is not enough. Applying is merely a step in the process. You're going to reach out. You're going to reach out on LinkedIn. You're going to, when you're at the MacDill Career Fair next week, you're going to notice that there's an event happening in conjunction with it, where people like me and people like Kathleen Smith and people like Cleared Jobs, who devote everything to the active duty service members. SkillBridge is a way for you to test drive what you're going to do, to test it out. Volunteers like us never pay anyone ever to train you or to coach you or to write your resume. Too many of us are ready to do it for free. Reach out to us, get on LinkedIn, send us a message. We will help you. If you're talking to any recruiter ever and they don't make the whole entire conversation all about you and finding something right for you, you're talking to the wrong recruiter. Talk to me and I'll get you in touch with the right one.
Kirsten, thank you very much. Mary, General Legere, thank you. And thanks for the great advice, the great information. For those of you who are looking for an interesting SkillBridge opportunity and are interested in a career like Kirsten's, right here at RecruitMilitary, we are starting this year a brand new SkillBridge opportunity to learn how to be a professional recruiter. For my 79s out there, for anybody who's interested in a career shift and would like to take a look at a career in recruiting, reach out to us at www.recruitmilitary.com or out to me on Facebook. Drop a note in the chat and I will, not Facebook, LinkedIn, drop a note in the chat and I will connect you to that information. Ladies, thank you for being here. I really appreciate your time and your advice.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good luck, everybody. We look forward to hearing from you.
All right. And for the folks out there in the audience, if you haven't already done so, do yourself a solid. Use the link rmvets.com/live. It'll take you to our website where we have over 400,000 job opportunities from more than 16,000 employers. Around the world and around the corner, you'll find information about job fairs held monthly, nationwide, in person, and virtual, and a library of content all designed to help veterans, transitioning service members, and mil spouses find meaningful employment. On behalf of Recruit Military and the folks that joined us today, thank you very much, Lieutenant General Legere and Kirsten Renner from Accenture Federal Services, for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and be sure and tune in next week, April 27th, same bad time, same bad channel, where we will be discussing mil-spouse employment, and you won't want to miss that. This has been Lucas Connolly for Recruit Military Live. Until next time, good luck and Godspeed.